everyone, it's Alice and it is September book haul time. So I said in our August book haul that I was hoping to only haul 10 books in September. 10. And looking around the room at the many stacks of books that I have to talk to you about today, I hauled more than 10. And I'm ashamed because I just can't stick to any kind of challenge that I set myself. But admittedly, some of these were birthday presents for Sean, some of these were pre-orders that had finally arrived, and a lot of them were just damn good deals. So I'm not going to pass that up. I'm not going to pass up free books or 50p books, especially when they're ones that I've been looking for a while. So, without further ado, let's embarrass me thoroughly and see how many books that I managed to haul in September and how many more books that was than my total challenge of 10. So as normal, I'm going to start off with the books that you might have seen in other videos on this channel over the last couple of weeks. So this is books from special edition boxes that I have done dedicated openings for, unboxings for. So let's go ahead. We've got Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is the Fairy Loot edition with the gorgeous foiling, and it also has the stenciled edges and some hardcover artwork and some end paper artwork and some more end paper artwork, and last but not least is signed. And that was in the Fairy Loot adult box for August. We then have The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. This is the Illumicrate edition, and this is the second book in the Burning Kingdom series. Yes, this follows Jasmine Throne. This has gorgeous stenciled edges, and they go all the way around. And it has a signed book plate. And I think that's it. Oh no, it also has Together They Will Remake the World under the dust jacket in lovely foiling. We also have the 3 books that were featured in this month's Book Box Battle video. So we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace, which came in this month's Fairy Loot, and it's got these gorgeous blue and purple stenciled edges, and it also has a redesigned cover on the hardcover case, as well as end paper artwork at the front, and, you guessed it, different end paper artwork at the back. And this is also signed. Then we have The Book Eaters by Sun Yi Dean. This was in Illumicrate for September, and this has the gorgeous stenciled edges, the signature page, the end papers, which I'm still not sure if they're exclusive or not, but they look pretty exclusive to me. And again, an alternate dust jacket on the hardcover case underneath that dust jacket. There we go. And then last but not least, we have September's Owl Crate. And that was The Depths by Nicole L'Esperance. And this has many things going on with it as well. It has the signed page, it has the foiled end papers, it has the alternate cover on the hardcover case, as well as under the dust jacket artwork. So all of the boxes are really pulling the stops out this month, and if you haven't seen September's Book Box Battle, I do highly recommend the episode because it was a lot of fun, and one of the closest ones that we've had this year, I think. We then have Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young, which was Fairy Loot's September adult book of the month, and that has these gorgeous stenciled edges, has the end paper artwork at the front and at the back, and also has foiling under the dust jacket and a signed book plate. And then last but not least, we have the Gilded Wolves set by Roshani Chokshi. This is the Gilded Wolves, the Silvered Serpents and the Bronze Beasts, and that was my most recent Fairy Loot haul. So these all have character artwork on the end papers at both ends, and then have the foiling on the hardcover case that shows the 2 characters showcased in those end papers together. Same with Silvered Serpents. You've got character 1, character 2, and then both characters together. And then last but not least, we have the Bronze Beasts, which sadly came a little bit damaged, and I'm still thinking of reaching out to them about it because there's like a little almost hole in the dust jacket, which is a bit of a shame. And that has character 1, character 2, and the 2 characters together on the foiling. And they're very, very gorgeous designs. So those are all the books that you should have seen on this channel before today. So let's move on to some books that you won't have seen yet. So we'll start off with this very special stack here. And this very special stack here are Sean's birthday books. So it was Sean's birthday on the 11th of September. And we all treated him to some books because we love him very much. And he loves reading. And as you can tell, because he's involved with this channel, books are a huge part of our life. So we treated him to 2 Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine, which are Phantom of the Auditorium and Egg Monsters from Mars. It was mostly his Goosebumps collection that you could always see in the back here, but we've actually moved them somewhere a bit safer so that the kids can't get to them as much. And he didn't have either of those, so that was a good steal. Sean's dad got him Elric of Melnibone. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly wrong. That's by Michael Moorcock, and it is the first book in the Elric saga, and this is one that Sean's been really, really interested in. And it has trying to hide Sean's message from his dad because I don't know what has been written, so I don't want to embarrass him. Maps on the end papers, and I think there might be illustrations throughout, but it's very fancy and I don't want to play with it because it's not my book, so I'll get Sean to come and showcase some of his nice books at another time. We then have The Upper World by Femi Fadugba. We read this together as part of the Way Book Prize 2022 shortlist, and Sean liked this a lot more than me, but he did say he would have enjoyed it more reading it physically because of some of the diagrams that are described throughout, because you can actually see them in the context of the story. And this also has money. What? Apparently my parents are just like sneaking Sean some money there. But yes, so I knew that he'd be interested in that one, so I might have recommended my parents get it for him. He also got Carrie by Stephen King, because this is one of the only Stephen King novels that we didn't own, and Sean has never read it. And I actually have read this one, so that's a nice surprise. He also got Raft by Stephen Baxter, which is part of the Sci-Fi Masterworks series, because Sean is slowly but surely collecting all of those. And, for the same reason, White Queen by Gwyneth Jones, because it's another Sci-Fi Masterworks book, and he didn't have either of those. And then I treated him to Fairy Tale by Stephen King. This is the brand new Stephen King release. It came out a couple of days before his birthday. And the special first editions had this quote on the spine that says, "When he spoke, it was again hard to believe that I hadn't stepped into a storybook and become one of the characters. Hello, young prince. I've been expecting you." And that certainly sounds interesting. And we have a little bit of a challenge going on to try and collect all of the Stephen King books and then eventually read them all. So that's another step towards that. And then last but not least, also from Sean's dad, he got the Discworld graphic novels by Terry Pratchett. And this is a chunky boy. And I think it features the first two, The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic, in graphic novel format. We're then going to move on to the other books that we bought brand new this month, of which there is a little stag. Normally Sean and I, we make sure that we've spread out the pre-orders that we get from Waterstones so we don't get too many books coming in at once. But if you haven't heard yet, I'm sure you'll hear soon, because Waterstones have had a lot of delays with their systems because they've been changing I don't know if it's the stock system that they use or the order fulfillment system, but everything's been a mess. So I've gotten books this month that I should have gotten at like the very, very start of August. It's a whole thing, but it means that I've actually had quite a few Waterstones orders coming through over the last few days and weeks, so we will show you all of those together. So first up, we've got Girlfriends by Holly Bourne. This is another Holly Bourne adult book. I haven't actually read any of her adult books yet, but there's something about the description of this one that just really pulls at my heartstrings, because it's all about friends that grow apart and then 10 years later they're like in each other's lives again, and it's like whether they can repair the friendship or whether they've just got to kind of let go and move on, and just feels like it's going to be really sad but also like quite empowering. So gonna give this a go, and this is a signed edition. My most excited one, the most excited I've been to haul probably anything, is to haul Wolf Song by TJ Klune. I have been hearing about this book for years, but it was never published in the UK. And they announced that they were publishing it with these absolutely stunning stenciled edges. So it's got the dark blue spray at the top and the light green spray at the bottom with this gorgeous stenciling. And, spoiler alert, it's also signed. But I was like panicking because where it had been, this was the first one of my orders that got delayed, and where it had been like a month, I didn't think I was getting it. And it's here, and it's in perfect condition, and it's signed, and it is still the stenciled one, and I was thinking maybe I'll just get a plain pages edition, and I wouldn't even mind. But I'm so happy to have this in my hands, and I'm really hoping that they do the rest of the Green Creek series to match, because this is the first book in the series, and it's the only one that's been published so far. But it definitely sounds like a book that I'll really love, because it sounds like it's werewolves and male-male romance, and what could you like more than that? We then took the recommendation of our local Waterstones bookseller Mark, and we got Fireborn, 12 in the Frozen Forest by Ailing Fowler. And I'd never heard of this before, but the stenciled edges are gorgeous, and it's being called the debut of the decade, I think? I can't see it now. But yeah, someone has definitely described it as like the debut of the decade. So that sounds amazing. And it's all about a girl called 12 who has had to give up her name to train to like defeat these monsters. But then I think somebody gets kidnapped. Her friend is taken, so she teams up with Dog, who is this guardian, and they have to go and try and find her friend, and she's kind of abandoning her training to do it. So it sounds very badass, very empowering, and it sounds like a good story about the power of friendship and the kind of inner strength that you have when your friends need you. And it's nice and chunky, and it's just really, really beautiful. And Mark said it was great, and I trust Mark's recommendation, especially when it comes to middle grade. So this got purchased. And at the same time, because it was on buy one, get one half price, we also got Spark by M.G. Leonard, which is the sequel to Twitch. We read Twitch last year, absolutely loved it. It was about a boy who liked bird watching and was a Twitcher, and it was just so good from start to finish. He gets into all kind of crazy adventures. And this is either a sequel or a companion novel, but it's another book for Twitch. And we found out about this the day before, and I was like, oh no, they were doing signed copies and there was a new Twitch book, and I'm really sad. And then we went into our local Waterstones and they had it on the table, and it was on the buy one get one half price, so we got both. So this is also signed, and now we need to buy Twitch because we read a copy of Twitch through NetGalley and don't own it physically. Gotta start somewhere, right? And then last but not least, for our little Waterstones haul this month, we got Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. This was originally supposed to be published in January, but got pushed back. And it's finally here. And it has these gorgeous purple sprayed edges. And I can't remember it saying that it was sprayed. I just thought I'd bought it because it was signed, which is there. This is the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers, which I still haven't had a chance to read, but everybody on BookTube was absolutely raving about it when it came out, so I'm sure that I'm going to love it. And it has this gorgeous kind of holographic foiling on the under dust jacket hardcover case thing. Can't never remember what that's meant to be called. So we're now going to move on to books that we acquired from online purchases. So I've been on a bit of an eBay kick recently, and I've been grabbing cheap books that I've had my eye on for a while. And so it has led to another little haul, but it means that this month we have acquired The Christmasaurus and the Winter Witch and The Christmasaurus and the Naughty List by Tom Fletcher. This is the second and third book in the Christmasaurus series, of which we called the first one last month. And Christmas dinosaurs. My kids love dinosaurs, my kids love Christmas. We got these in the post and they were just like screaming, "Blue Christmas dinosaur!" for like half an hour later, and they keep going on and on and on about how excited they are to read these. So I think these are going to make amazing bedtime stories all through December and probably into the new year, because they're very chunky and my kids are quite small, so they will fall asleep very quickly. But these are absolutely adorable, and they've got like little scenes from the book on the hardcover case, which is super cute. So there's the dinosaur pulling the sleigh on that one. Sorry, the Christmasaurus. Got to get his name right. Pulling the sleigh on that one. And then on this one, there is the Christmasaurus in action over the North Pole. And I just love the designs on all of Tom Fletcher's books because they're really adorable, and I hope that I'm going to love the insides as much as I love the outsides. I then found 3 books on Facebook, ridiculously cheap, and I managed to get them because the girl had like sold a lot of the stuff that she put up already, so I was like mildly stressed because I didn't think I was getting them in time. But I got The Devouring Grey and the Deck of Omens by Christina and Herman. This is a completed duology with these gorgeous sprayed pages, and for some reason on my local library app they only had the Deck of Omens, so I couldn't read them without buying The Devouring Grey, but I didn't want to buy The Devouring Grey without the sprayed edges because I wanted to get them with the sprayed edges if I could. And the person who was selling these on Facebook, I think, was selling them for £3 each, but then because I got both, she did it for a £5. So you can't really go wrong in that instance. And she also threw in Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, which has been on my Amazon wishlist for the longest time because I don't think this has ever actually been published in the UK, and it sounds just like my kind of book, and it's got an absolutely gorgeous cover, and I really loved Nina LaCour's Hold Still, and I'm excited to read more of her writing, and I think this is either £1 or £2, and it's in really brilliant condition, so I will be reading this one soon because I flew through Hold Still, so I'm sure I'm going to fly through this one as well, especially because I've been waiting for it for like 10 years. And then, last but not least for the spontaneous online ordering, I'm a mess. So basically, Fairy Loot hadn't announced that they were doing the Atlas Paradox, and I had the Fairy Loot edition of the Atlas 6. So, when the Waterstones edition of the Atlas Paradox got put up, I bought it. And then Fairy Loot announced that they were doing an edition of the Atlas Paradox, and I really liked the design. So I didn't want to cancel my Waterstones edition of the Atlas Paradox because it matches nicely with the Fairy Loot Atlas 6, but then I wanted to get the Fairy Loot Atlas Paradox because it actually matches the Fairy Loot Atlas 6. And then I also bought the Illumicrate set, which is not arriving yet, so we don't have to be too embarrassed about that. But then I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, the only one I don't have is the Waterstones edition of the Atlas 6. And so I bought it. And I don't know why, because I didn't really love this book. It has a lot of potential, and I'm thinking that it's going to get better as it goes on, because I can't stop thinking about these characters, if I'm honest. I didn't think it was going to have that much of an impact on me when I read it the first time, but I just can't get it out of my head. And so now I own 3 sets of the first 2 books, and I didn't even really like the first one that much, but it was like £20. I've seen these selling for like close to £100 at times, but it's the Waterstones edition, so it's got these gold speckled sprayed edges, and it's also signed. And I did look at pre-ordering it, but they didn't have the signed copies left, and I'm kind of glad that I left it because it would have been £17 to buy it new, and I just spent an extra £3 to actually guarantee that I got a signed copy rather than buying it new and not having a signed copy because they'd already sold out. So that was also something I hauled this month, and something I probably shouldn't have, but Sean said it was fine, and I kind of regret, but I kind of don't. So we'll let that one slide. So we only actually got 2 free books this month, which is better than it has been for the last few months because we've been getting a ridiculous amount over the last few months. So we got Parasite by Mira Grant and Guild by Raven Kennedy. I've heard a lot of good things about Mira Grant's writing, and I've heard a lot of good things about the Plated Prisoner series, so when I saw those both for free in like brand new perfect condition, I picked them up. And then we move on to the charity shop books, of which you can see there is quite a stack, and I've just realised I actually forgot to pick up a whole stack. Oops. I shouldn't be allowed to buy books. But yes, I blame my local charity shops for having A, good book selection, and B, having them pretty damn cheap. So I have gone a little bit overboard this month, but it's fine. So we have Recoil by J.T. Nicholas, and the reason I got this one is because it's about somebody who's murdered while salvaging a derelict vessel, and then his body gets downloaded onto the space station where he backed up several weeks before. But then an assassin breaks in to try and finish the job. So that sounds really, really cool. It's like an across-space assassination attempt. And just the cover of this one is stunning. So as soon as I saw it, I was interested. But it sounds really freaking good. We then have Oil Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I haven't had a chance to read any Colleen Hoover books yet, but I've kind of been gathering them on the Kindle when they've been on 99p daily deal. This was one I didn't have yet, and it's an American paperback, and it was only £1.50. So I thought I might as well grab it. And I also got, if I can slide it out, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, because this is the most popular Colleen Hoover book, and my friend Sarah was reading it or was thinking about reading it recently, and our other friend communicated that to me, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I've got that on my Kindle, and I didn't actually have it. So when I spotted it in the charity shop for £1.25 and it was in brand new unread condition, I grabbed that too. We then have A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I own the US paperback of this, but I think I'm more likely to be able to find matching editions of the UK paperbacks in charity shops, and I've never seen any of the UK paperbacks in charity shops before, so this one was £2. It's in brand new, perfect condition, so I thought I'd get it to add to my V.E. Schwab collection. I have White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi. I'm going to be absolutely butchering that name, and I'm so sorry. Hadn't heard about it before, but the cover really intrigued me. It sounds like a very atmospheric read for this time of year, so grab that. We have The Boy Who Steals Houses by C.G. Drews, who is also known as Paper Fury. If you haven't heard of Paper Fury, go and check out their blog right now, because Paper Fury has been one of the best book bloggers on the platform since I started blogging myself, since way before that. Like, I've been reading their blog for so long that they were one of the people that encouraged me to begin blogging in the first place, and I owned 1,000 Perfect Notes, but I'd never owned The Boy Who Steals Houses, and I found it in the charity shop for £2, so I picked it up. I then have The Murder Book by Mark Billingham. I think this is the most expensive charity shop book I hauled this month because it was £3, but this is the brand new Mark Billingham book that's only been published quite recently, and it's a part of the Tom Thorne series, and I own the rest of those, so I thought I might as well grab it. I have Haven't They Grown by Sophie Hannah, which will be my first Sophie Hannah read ever when I eventually pick it up, but it sounds very interesting because a woman has lost contact with her old friend, but she bumps into her, and when she sees her, her kids are the same age that they were when they lost contact 10 years ago. Bit spooky, bit thrilling, and this was 49p, and again, brand new unread condition. Another book for 49p was Sweet Sorrow by David Nichols, which is a hardback, and it's absolutely stunning, and I loved One Day, and I've been wanting to read more of David Nichols' writing, and was just too beautiful to pass up for 49p, even though I know nothing about it. We also have Ruthless Women by Melanie Blake. This has the red sprayed edges and the little ribbon bookmark, and this was only 49p. I've heard it's a bit of an erotic thriller, which isn't something I would normally read, but the cover intrigues me and the blurb intrigues me, so off we go. We then have Lucky by Rachel Edwards, which was also 49p, despite the fact that it is signed. And I hadn't heard of it, but it's about somebody who is addicted to gambling, and it's a thriller about that, so it sounds very interesting and definitely something that's up my alley. We then have Chris Carter's Genesis. Again, this came out in August and I found it for 49p. It's a brand new hardback. It's the newest book in the Robert Hunter series. I've only read a couple of them, but I know my mum absolutely loves the rest of them, so I thought I'd pick it up so that I've got this for when I catch up. And last but not least, for 49p, I got Beneath the Surface by Fiona Neal, which is again an unread, perfect condition thriller, and it's one that's not on any of the library apps, and it sounds interesting. I can't remember why. Someone's daughter collapsing at school. Yeah, I'm intrigued in that. We then have 3 books from the Redwall series by Brian Jacks, which are Outcast of Redwall, Marielle of Redwall, and Salamandastron. These were 50p each, and we've been slowly but surely collecting the whole Redwall series, so those were good to add to that collection. I have Ink Spell by Cornelia Funk. I'm pretty sure that I bought Ink Death as well. Sean said I left it, but I can't see why I would have, because I know I only had the first one, but we can't find it anywhere, so I don't know if that might have been packed away, because I bought some Christmas presents from that shop, so I don't know if I packed it away and it's just going to be a Christmas present for myself when I go to wrap them, but I got that. I also have A Fatal Crossing by Tom Hindle. I haven't heard of it before, but it's November 1924. The Endeavour set sail with 2,000 passengers and a killer on board. So a man's body is found, they think it's a tragic accident, and then they realise that it's actually a murder. So, very interesting. And also, I'm pretty sure published this year, so surprising to see it in a charity shop that quickly. I then have 2 Riverdale novels, The Day Before and Get Out of Town. I haven't seen much Riverdale, but what I did was interesting, and it sounds like these novels will be a lot of fun. A lot of it's told through texts, so very quick reads, very thrilling reads. Thought I might as well pick them up. I also got Surprise Me by Sophie Kinsella. This was free. I forgot to put that with the free books, actually. It was free with something else. I can't remember what it was. But I couldn't remember if we owned this one or not, and we want to eventually collect and read all of the Sophie Kinsella books. So I know we haven't read this one yet, Whether we own it already and just haven't read it, I'm not sure. But if we do have it, then we'll just unhaul it and put it back into one of the book swaps that we've gotten books from in the past. This is kind of for Sophia and kind of for me, because it's Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Ball by Laura Ellen Anderson. I haven't read any of the Amelia Fang books yet. We haven't owned any of the Amelia Fang books before, but I know that Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin really recommends these, and I appreciate his recommendations for anything middle grade. And this has a little cute pumpkin on the spine, so when Sophia pointed out and wanted it, I was like, yes, yes, we can have the creepy pumpkin book. I'm fine with that. I then have some more kind of surprising YA books that I've managed to find in charity shops this month, because I found Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power, which again, in perfect unread condition and was only £2. Haven't had a chance to read Wilder Girls yet. Couldn't get hold of a copy of Burn Our Bodies Down until now, but I'm very interested in reading that one. I have Love Radio by Ebony Liddell. This was only £2 again, and this only came out this year. And this is like so new that it's still on the table in Waterstones with all the most recent releases that they recommend. So definitely one that I'm interested in reading. And then I found Ironheart by Nina Varela, which is the American hardback and the sequel to Cryer's War. And Owlcrate feature Cryer's Wall didn't do the sequel, and I thought it was going to be an absolute bitch trying to get hold of a copy of this, because I would have needed to get it imported from America because they weren't published here, but I found it for £2, so I got it. I also got myself these as kind of two little treats, which are Bibliophile and Illustrated Miscellany by Jane Mount and the Bibliophile Reader's Journal. So I've always wanted to be somebody that uses reading journals, but I've just never had, like, the inspiration to do it, really, because I've been too worried about messing them up. But this one's really cute because it's got, if I can find any examples, it's got some books made into great movies, and then it's got review spaces. And then you've got food from novels, and then more review spaces. And then you've got ideas and inspirations at the end, books to check out. It's got lots of different little sections, but it also has its own reading recommendations. So it seems like a nice kind of beginner's guide to reading journaling. So I picked that up as well. And Bibliophile itself is just all about books. There's beautiful contemporary covers. There's nature and animals. There's books made into great TV. As you can tell, it's lots of lists, it's lots of inspiration of what to read next, and it's also, it feels amazing because this side's really smooth and this side's like all textured and fabric, and I love it. I love it. And I'm going to have to leave that there and be back with you later because I have to go and pick Sophia up from school, which is a nightmare because I thought I would have filmed this quicker. But I'll see you in a bit. So now we're on to the final stretch. I managed to go to London for some training this month, and I hauled these two books while I was down there, and these are The Crooked Sixpence, which is the first book in the Uncommoners series by Jennifer Bell. I have already read this one, but I read it on the library app, and it has illustrations throughout, which I think are by Carl James Mountford, yes, and I just want to be able to appreciate them thoroughly with a physical edition. And I also picked up Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I have Children of Time, and I'm interested in reading the series, so why not grab the sequel when I saw it pretty cheap. We also bought a copy of the Wishing Chair collection by Enid Blyton, which includes The Adventures of the Wishing Chair Again, and more Wishing Chair stories. It wasn't until we got home that we realised we already had a collection of these three books. They're in a different colour bind-up, and we didn't realise it was the same. So this one would be going to live at my parents' house, so if the kids ever sleep over there when they're a bit older, then Mum will have some stories to pick from to read to them. We also picked up The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. Haven't heard of this one before, but it was £2. It is a hardcover that was only published this year. It's a debut novel and it sounds like pretty epic fantasy, so why not pick it up? It literally says at the top, a major new voice in epic fantasy. There we go. I got myself another paperback copy of The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon because I'd been putting off reading my paperback because it's signed and personalised, and this way I have one that I can just absolutely beat to death if I so wish. I also picked up The Spirit Engineer by AJ West. Haven't heard of this one before either, but it's set just after the Titanic has sank, when there's apparently a upsurge in, I've forgotten all of the words. spiritualism. So they're all attending seances, and then this guy who is a complete skeptic happens to have some supernatural goings on during one of these seances, and he wonders if it's a trick or if it's actually otherworldly goings on. And it sounds really, really freaking cool, and it's a debut, and it's got this gorgeous red foiling, and sounds like it's going to be right up my street. Again, published this year, and there's nothing else I can really say about this, and I'm just really, really interested in it. Apparently based on a true story as well. We also picked up A Sky Painted Gold by Laura Wood, which is the first of Laura Wood's young adult novels. Previously, Laura Wood only wrote middle grade books. I've already read this, absolutely loved it, but I read it out with the library and I never owned a copy. I have copies of her other young adult novels because I really enjoyed this one, and I've really enjoyed the others as well. So now I own the first, and I'm looking forward to rereading this over the summer. We also found a copy of Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason, which I hadn't heard of before, but this is a Waterstones exclusive signed edition with bonus content. Has these absolutely gorgeous yellow sprayed edges. So for £1, I was not going to say no. It has these really intriguing end papers, and it's got like a map with like the longitudes and latitudes on the hardcover case. So they really have gone all out for this edition. I haven't heard it before, but it sounds like her marriage breaks down and then she like returns to her childhood home to like find herself. So it sounds very interesting. I also picked up a spare copy of Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. The only copy of this I currently own is my Rune edition hardback. So again, not one that I've been looking forward to reading, but this has these gorgeous kind of tealy blue sprayed edges and was only 49p. So I lied about that being the last of the 49p books earlier. I got so many for such an odd price this month. We also picked up 2 books by Raymond E. Feist. So one of these is Fairy Tale and one of these is Rage of Demon King. This sounds like a standalone, and this is the 3rd book in the Serpent Wall saga. We don't have either of these, but we do have the first 2 books in the Serpent Wall saga, and these were on a buy 3 for £1 offer, so we got those 2, and we also got The Switch by Beth O'Leary, which isn't a book I likely would have bought if it hadn't been the only one in the entire shop that I was interested in as a third for that £1 offer. So this is about 2 people who have like a switch. Oh, so her grandmother goes to live in her house, I think, and she goes to live in her grandmother's house, which is pretty cool. I own the flat share, haven't had a chance to read it yet. Haven't heard anything about this one, but it sounds like a cute concept. And again, it was the only other one I was interested in. This is the problem. They keep doing like 3 for £1 offers, and I only need 2, but I get 3 because otherwise I'm paying 50p each, so then I'm turning down a free book. And I've already got too many books. I also picked up 3 books by Catherine Kerr. These were a jumble trail, and they were actually for sale at our friend's house, so these were only 50p each as well. And they are A Time of War and A Time of Justice, which are books 3 and 4 in the Days of Air and Darkness series. I got these because I had the first one. I hauled it while I was at uni, and it looks like because I couldn't find the rest of the books in the series, I might have unhauled it. So hopefully I'll find that again at some point, even if it's just in one of our many boxes upstairs and I just haven't unpacked it since we moved in together. And I also hauled The Red Wyvern, which is book 1 of the Dragon Mage series. So this is the first one in the series, so we'll read this one first. Getting so close to the end. We also hauled Magic Kingdom for Sale by Terry Brooks, which is the first book in a series. Oh, for sale / sold, which is a Magic Kingdom of Landover novel. I keep getting Terry Brooks recommended to me. I keep picking up Terry Brooks books, and I keep not reading any of them. But again, 50p. It's good for the future. We also picked up How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I read an edition of this through NetGalley just after it came out, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favourite Matt Haig books, and I've been keeping an eye out to find a good condition copy to own. And this is in brand new, unread condition, and it was only £1. So this will look really nice with the rest of our Matt Haig books, because I'm getting a nice little selection of those now. And probably the 2 most exciting ones I found in charity shops this month, I found a manuscript of This Beats Perfect by Rebecca Denton. So this is like completely blank on the spine and on the back, and it's in this really like janky, stiff paper, but I'm happy to own it because it's really freaking cool. And last but not least, I found a proof copy of Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds, which was one of my favourite books of 2018, 2019? When did this come out? 2019. One of my favourite books. I read it through NetGalley. I nearly cried. I wanted to read it again as soon as I'd finished it. I just want to keep reading this over and over again. And I've never owned a copy of it. So I saw the title on the shelf and I was like, oh my god. And then I realised it was a proof and I goddamn nearly cried in the charity shop because I was so excited. So I am beyond grateful to have this in my hands, and I'm definitely going to reread this and cherish it forever. So now I need to try to find my phone so I can tell you what books I hold on my Kindle this month, and then I've got to do some maths so I can work out how many books we hold this month, because as you can tell by the fact that I'm still filming and it's been almost 40 minutes, it was more than 10. In a pleasant surprise, I only actually hauled one book on my Kindle this month, and that was The Blood Traitor by Lynette Nonny, because it went down to 99p and the Fairy Loot edition still hasn't been shipped, so I thought I might as well buy it and then I can catch up with the Prison Healer series and get it finished as soon as possible. So that was a pleasant surprise. So now we're going to count and we're going to see how many books we'll hold. Bear with me for a second.
3 hours later.
78. That's not 10. To be fair, 3, 6... 9 and 14 and 20 of those I did already have ordered before the end of the month, which means less, like 50 something, but that's still more than 10. So I am going to need to be stricter with myself throughout October. I'm going to need to be stricter with myself throughout November. Also, like 10 of those were Sean's birthday books, so like 48 books. It's not as bad as some hauls, but it's definitely not where I wanted it to be this month. But alas, at least it's been good content for you guys to view, and I'm sure that you've had a great time because you always really seem to like our book hauls. So if you like this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to subscribe, we'll be super duper grateful. We post new videos pretty regularly. We're still trying to get into a new schedule. It was Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, but it's a bit all over the place at the moment with Sophia starting school. But we'll be back in a few days with another video, and hopefully there will be slightly less books involved. I'm Alice, this is the Bumbling Blogger, and we have a serious book hauling problem on here. Thank you for watching. Bye! 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 78. That's not 10.